Everyone's aware of that, but students, thank you for joining us. This is really informal. We're all informal people if you haven't met some of us. I'm James Day. I'm the program director of the Masters of Science in Athletic Training. And we got some cool things to talk to you guys about. You guys are all here because you've either or you were all invited. I don't know why you're here, but you were all invited to come because you've expressed interest in either the athletic training program or in being pre-physical therapy. And so I wanted to bring our physical therapy people in to talk a little bit about what's going on there, and I'll let them introduce themselves. And then afterwards, I'll kind of talk about application, because you guys are all now at the time where you can start applying for the Masters of Science in Athletic Training and kind of hybrid your undergraduate experience right into graduate experiences and then right on to. So I will kick it to the important people of the hour.
Thank you, Dr. Day. Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Delansky. I'm the program director here for the developing program in physical therapy, the doctorate of physical therapy here at Augustana. And I'm accompanied by my sidekick, the director of clinical education.
Yes. So I'm Andrea Miro, and I am, as you said, the director of clinical education. So right now it's just the two of us on faculty so far, but my role is to coordinate all of the clinical sites for the DPT program. And because it is a hybrid program, as we'll talk about in just a few minutes, those sites are nationwide at this point. So that's really exciting for this program as well.
So what makes us unique here at Augie is that we are putting together one of about 7 different programs in the United States where we are developing an accelerated hybrid model of physical therapy education. So what the heck does that mean? Well, accelerated, instead of taking 3 years to get through PT school, you can do it in 2. Hybrid education, meaning that you will take classes for 6 weeks online, synchronously, and then you will come into a central location in Minneapolis, in the Twin Cities, to do either a 5-day or a 12-day hands-on intensive lab session. So what that means for you is that you can live anywhere in the United States, take your classes wherever you would like to be, and as long as you can get to the Twin Cities approximately every 6 weeks, then you can get through PT school living wherever you like, deck of your yacht in the middle of the Caribbean, some remote cabin in the middle of Idaho with a Starlink uplink to the new Starlink web service, that kind of thing. So it's really exciting that we can do this, that we're being able to offer it. Augie's driving innovation by offering this type of a program. And it's really important for us to be able to develop this type of educational offering for students. And you're one of the first ones to hear about it. So congratulations.
And then with the clinical education program, it will be similar as far as nationwide. I right now have sites in 24 states, and that will also be driven by where students are living. So we will try to match students with where they're from, where they're living. There might be some travel, there can be some travel, there will be some travel. But that's what's exciting, is that we can have a nationwide reach too. So not all of the sites have to be in Sioux Falls or in Minneapolis. They can and will be in nationwide settings. So as far as things that you're interested in or settings that you want to be in, those are all different possibilities that we can look at with this program.
So not only is this program innovative in the fact that it's being delivered online and that it happens in 2 years, but we're looking to prepare the physical therapist for the future. So what I mean by that is our key word that we're using to describe the program is innovation. Innovation to teach you tools to be able to be that next level of physical therapist 5-10 years from now. So we're going to teach you how to look at data science, how to get information off of wearables. How do I get information off of an Apple Watch and then make sense of all that data that comes off of an Apple Watch? Or to take information off of a sensor, a wearable sensor that's on an athlete on the field. how do I get that information and bring that information in order to be able to make sense of it and be patient-centered and specific with my rehabilitation plan and my goals for my patients. We're going to teach you how to use robotics and neuro implants and neurosensors, how to use exoskeletons. I'm going to show you how to be able to do an evaluation using Zoom at a distance in a telehealth kind of setup. And we're also going to talk to you a lot about genomics. And genomics is the study of genes. And if I know your genetic profile, I can figure out what kind of collagen fiber type you have, what's your inflammatory response. I can take a look and see what your muscle fiber types are. What's your creatine pathway? How much ADP do you have in your mitochondria? All of those things that are specific and individual to you means something if you are going to be the physical therapist of the future or the clinician of the future, so that you can develop specific plans for your patients. These are the kind of things that we're going to teach you how to do in PT school, along with giving you world-class training and having experts in the field come in and train you on how to be just a general good PT. The other thing that's exciting and that we're really happy to see, and we're working the bugs out of it right now, but it is the early admissions application pathway. The early assurance pathway is a pathway that we're developing with athletic training, that if you come into the Masters of Athletic Training and you are excelling at your studies and you're doing everything that you need to do to be a good athletic trainer and a good clinician, that you will gain automatic acceptance into physical therapy school without having to go through an interview, without having to go through an applications process. It will be automatic. That's something very unique, extremely important for you as an athletic trainer, because you can graduate with a dual degree as a sports certified athletic trainer as well as a focused physical therapist, so that you can continue along in your journey of being able to treat athletes at a higher level. So this is something that's really exciting. I'm extremely excited about this program. And it's something that's very unique, because normally you have to go through a whole interview process in order to get into physical therapy school. So think about class sizes of 100 and about 600 or 700 people applying for those 100 spots. If you make it in through this pathway, you will walk right in. We will save a seat for you. So it's really exciting, and we're really happy to be able to have this partnership here at Augie.
And then adding to that, what I think is just as exciting from our standpoint in athletic training is we get to be that bridge, really, from the standpoint that since you are already part of the Augustana University family and you're already here, it doesn't make any sense for us to wait to start to create you as excellent healthcare providers. And so the idea really is you're here, even though you're sophomores currently, right? We still have, time, and we might as well get started right now getting your healthcare experiences going. So in athletic training, we're going to start right away then of starting to train you as a healthcare practitioner, even as soon as your junior year next year. So you get so much more experience while not taking any longer. You combine the accelerated natures of all these programs, you still become a physical therapist at the exact same time that everyone else in the nation did. But now you have 5 years of clinical experiences working with patients that will make you so, combined with all the innovation we've got going, will make you the exceptional healthcare provider that we know you can be. That's the really cool thing, I think, as well. The fact that working together, all these sorts of things, you will be able to go so much farther and be so much more successful just because we're combining all of this into one nice package for you. So that's kind of our sales pitch. And I'm going to break for just a second for anybody who's watching this later. I know that all of us would be more than willing to answer any questions. So if you're watching this later, please reach out to any of us with your questions. But for those of you here right now, is there something else we can talk about? What questions do you have? anything. This is, what can we help you with? We'll talk more about athletic training application, but specifically this physical therapy stuff.
So, you had talked about like the whole stations or like certain places among the states, and I don't know that I totally understood what exactly you meant by that.
As far as clinical sites?
Yeah.
So when you're in physical therapy school, like Dr. Volansky was saying, you will have classes that go for 8 weeks at a time. And then at the end of your first year, you'll do an 8-week clinical rotation. So you're able to do that rotation really anywhere that I've got contracts with sites around the country. So as of right now, we've got sites in 24 states. So that's a really good question. That's what I meant by that. And that will just keep expanding. And I'm going to try to make it specific to where my students end up. Right now, I'm just being as broad as possible. But when I actually seat a class and see where those students are, then I can be more specific to certain areas. So we'll try to, place people local for at least 1 or 2. A lot of students like to travel and try out new areas. But that's really what that's all about. And then you'll have 2 more clinical rotations toward the end of the program, 1 more 8-week and then a final 15-week rotation. So those will be at 3 different sites, and they will be in different settings, an outpatient and inpatient setting. They could be specific to sports, pediatrics, especially coming from athletic training. I'm thinking a lot of people in this pathway will be looking for sports specific type facilities, but those are the types of things that we can work on for your placements depending on your interests. Did that better answer your question?
I feel like I'm hearing 2 different things and I'm either not connecting the 2 different things or that they're 2 different or something, but it sounds to me like you have this 6 weeks and then the 5 to 12 day in the Twin City. Same program, different program, or like, because then I'm hearing like, 8 weeks, 15 weeks and all that, and it's not matching.
Nope, that's a really good question. Really good question. So there's kind of 2 main parts to the curriculum. The clinical education, that's all in the clinic. So when I'm saying 8 and 15 weeks in 24 different states, that's you with a licensed physical therapist learning hands-on in the clinic.
Okay. That's
one piece. Sense. Yes. So the other piece that Dr. Volansky was talking about, first of all, those are the actual classes that you take. So the first 6 weeks of class would be online classes, basically, where you have coursework to do and you prepare for class, and you come to a class like this, where everyone is learning together in a session led by your professor. At the end of those 6 weeks, then you have a lab where everyone comes to the Twin Cities, does all of their lab work for 5 to 12 days, depending on the class that you're in, where you learn all of the skills, the hands-on skills that you've been basically learning about up until that point. So for that will repeat for the whole first year, where you do your classes, do your labs. Classes, labs. At the end of your first year, you get to go out to the clinic and use what you've learned. And then that same pattern happens again at the end of the second year. Then you go out for some bigger chunks of time to put it all together and basically come out an entry-level physical therapist.
For sure. That makes a lot more sense.
Good. No, I'm glad you asked. Because
Yeah.
again, for us that talk about it all the time, we know what we're saying. So I'm glad that you clarified.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know a ton of people, or at least have talked to a ton of adults about their graduate experience, and even college experience was a little weird for me just because I'm not around a ton of people who talk about it. So that could be something super common for somebody who's like, oh yeah, well, my dad is a physical therapist, so he talks about it all the time. But yeah, so then the other question I was going to ask is, so it sounds like you would have, that class where you're in that 6 week period, and then you have the few days in the Twin Cities and keep going back. And then after that first year, you would have this 8 week clinical practice session. Have you looked at going outside of the country with that?
Yes. So those are definitely pathways that we are exploring. So that's part of the program that I'm building right now. So hopefully by the time you would come into the program, I will have actual places and sites to talk about. But yes, that is part of my dream for our clinical education program. Good questions.
Awesome.
I had a question. Would you be able to get like experience with like shadowing a physical therapist while you're taking the online classes? Like, would you be able to do both during that period?
I would think, Rebecca, that we would actually have you do some of that shadowing while maybe you're doing more of your athletic training experience so that you have that out of the way prior to you coming into the program. Because after all, your shadowing is more or less you're making sure that you know what a physical therapist does and to make sure that that's the appropriate direction that you want to head. There would be
Okay.
nothing that would stop you from doing a shadowing experience while you're in school, while you're taking your classes, but it wouldn't be part of what we would offer as part of the curriculum of the course. But we could definitely help you set it up if that's something that would be important to you.
Thank you. Yeah, that perfectly answers my question.
Yeah, and just to add to that for anybody that is watching it later with that, in athletic training, you do have rotations with physical therapists built in. Everybody does that. They're dual credentialed physical therapists, athletic trainers, which is what you guys would specifically be looking at. And so they focus on that more active patient in rehabilitation. But the really neat thing also about this collaboration is because you are an athletic training student, you get special protections from practice laws. So you can not just shadow, but actually interact and work with patients in these sorts of things. So that's a real advantage that, by being an athletic training student, you're actually working with these patients. So we don't really call it shadowing because shadowing makes it sound like you're in the background. We can get you in the foreground working with patients throughout this entire time. So that way, the reason that we can be so confident in your ability to be successful in physical therapy school and do something like that is because we are confident in the experiences that you will be having throughout your time at Augustana to know you will be successful. That's what's most important to us, is to have great athletic trainers and great physical therapists. And so we just are confident in the experiences you will get being top notch throughout, much more than normal students applying to physical therapy school. The reality is, the preparation for athletic training is a great step towards physical therapy school, regardless of that. But 3 years of working with patients is a great qualification for physical therapy school and will put you ahead of some of the other students that just do shadowing. So that's the nice thing, is you will have a lot more of those experiences, both in athletic training, in physical therapy. Even with our orthopedic surgeons, you'll be in the operating room as an athletic training student, watching surgery and, getting to evaluate an unconscious person, right? Those are sorts of great experiences that we know will prepare you for whatever sports medicine world you want. And that's where athletic training really gets to serve as the bridge to so many advanced healthcare professions, because we're going to make sure you're getting those experiences while you're doing this transitional graduate program.
And I can speak to that. Even when I was a physical therapy student, I remember and recall, especially those first few semesters, my classmates who were athletic trainers, a lot of the stuff we were learning, they knew, they had it. The hands-on skills they were teaching the rest of us. And so I can just say they had a real advantage, especially for that first year, I'd say, of the program, just because they had already learned it. They were familiar with a lot of those same techniques. And then you put the rehabilitation perspective on top of it, but a lot of it was review and then build upon those skills. And they already had practice with interacting with patients and knowing what that type of interaction was like. So just from being a student and being a little bit jealous of the other students' preparation and experiences, because it did seem like they were a few miles ahead.
And there's nothing quite like doing a Lockman's and a McMurray's on someone and then putting them out and with anesthesia and then doing it again. And you get a very good appreciation of how much muscle guarding is actually taking place while that person is conscious. So, and you can see how effective sometimes some of these special tests are. So that's a really important thing. And it's good to hear that we're actually moving students forward. If you come into our program with that level of understanding and knowledge already gained, you are going to be head and shoulders above the rest of the students in the class.
Kind of going off of that. So on like the application, you have to like upload the clinical observation hours. So will those hours be completed during that time of like going with your athletic trainer and stuff that you were just talking about?
Brooke, that's a great question.
Or is that like supposed to be done in your own time?
I don't think that we've worked out the bugs and everything here for all the prerequisites coming in, because we're still pretty new with the pathway. But I would anticipate that if you have the hours in your athletic training experience, that they would be applicable to use towards your PT practice or towards your PT application. So I'm not thinking right now that we would make you duplicate those hours.
And we will work directly with that to make sure that we're hitting all of the boxes. So really the best part I would say with all of this is because of the way that this is set up in the basic entry point and the way the athletic training program works as this pathway and gateway. We are looking primarily right now, like for the application you're doing for athletic training, about desire. That's what I'm most interested in. And I think that's what's most interesting to all of us here is if this is something you really want to do, we would like to offer you the opportunity to go for it. And we will set you up on a path to be successful. So all of these sorts of things are secondary to your desire. And then we will come alongside you and help guide you. And that's the most exciting thing for us, I think, when I talk with students, is I don't want to be the evaluator. I don't think these guys want to be the evaluators. We're teachers and clinicians at heart. So judging people is not what we want to do. So if this is what you want to do, within the 5 years of time that you would be a part of both of our programs, if this is what you want to do, we believe we can help you get there and set up a path. So we're not looking to put roadblocks in the way. In fact, we're trying to remove roadblocks and allow for you to go through. So all of those things that we put in there are just ways to demonstrate your passion, right? And by completing, the athletic training program and wanting to go to physical therapy school and having, you will talk with these individuals as part of your athletic training program as well, because it doesn't make sense for us not to include them in our classes as guest speakers and different things. They will know you, we will know you, and we will know that passion. And that's what's most important.
And as we develop our faculty, I'm fully expecting that we will have at least 2, probably more physical therapists that already have their athletic training degree and are also physical therapists. And so we will have a lot of overlap between our program and the athletic training program as well. So there will be people there that speak sports and that understand it and that really have a good understanding of where you've come from as a student as well. Well, we appreciate the time. If we are going to end up having a website and a section of the website specifically for Augie students that are interested in this pathway. We just got approval from the Higher Learning Commission to be able to sit here today and talk to you. And that is less than a week old. So we are just really excited to be here, excited to tell the story, and bear with us, but we will keep you informed as we continue to put out more information about this pathway and about the program.
So thank you guys. Again, I'll let you go, but I want to end and, with them. I know these 2 individuals, they are great. They are more than willing to talk to you. Athletic training, not athletic training. We are just so excited, literally, like I said, less than a week old. And we're like, we just have to talk to the Augie students right now, like we just got to. And so even though it doesn't look like we have everything completely figured out, that's because, we're still doing it, but we couldn't wait anymore. We just had to talk to you guys because we know you guys have the passion and are going to be successful. So please reach out to them. They are a great resource for all healthcare professions. Even if athletic training in this path isn't right for you, they would love to talk to you. I know that from a fact. And so now you at least, have some faces and maybe they're not as intimidating. But more information will be coming. So I'm going to let you guys go, and we'll just talk specifically if there are any questions about the athletic training application portion. So if you have any application specific things so we can get you accepted early and get started right on this, now's the time.
Thanks for the opportunity. We're going to bow out. Good luck, everyone. Stay warm. Bye-bye.
So the athletic training admissions portion.
Yep.
What do we do about clinical hours and all that stuff? Because it won't let me submit it unless I have those PDFs uploaded.
Yep. So some of those things are in these kind of lock state with that, you know, like you can't submit this until that or whatever. And I've specifically done that for a few reasons. Mostly, I don't want you guys as Augie students to have to pay for the application, because that doesn't make sense. You're already accepted. And so by not letting you submit it, it kind of protects that a little bit. But of those things, right, the only requirements that you're required to do is you're required to do the references, answer the application questions, and then the letter of intent. All the other things are similar in that sort of vein of, if you have them, great. You know, if not, all that, you know, we're just looking for ways for you to demonstrate that this is what you want to do. We give suggestions on how, like observation hours and different things like that, but you're only required to do those 3 things.
Letter of intent.
Yes.
Could be similar to like a resume, where there's just like this general idea of how everyone does it, but I don't know anything about letters of intent.
That is fine as well. That, I mean, that's part of the part of this kind of transition bridge as well, right? Like I expect those sorts of questions as well. So the letter of intent, what we're simply doing is, on the application, I asked you to write about what I wanted to know in your interest in there. In the letter of intent, I want you to tell your story about whatever you want on why you want to pursue this program and these opportunities. So it will be very individualized. You know, like I joke, if you want to record an interpretive dance that explains why you want to do this, I want to get to know you a little bit more in a free-flowing sort of way. So more like a cover letter sort of thing. If I just asked you, why do you want to do this? Tell me in the way that best explains it how you could. And it's more than just me, right? It's a committee, but it's mainly me.
Do we have like an interview that we would need to do for it?
So there is an interview, which is just, so after you complete the application, I will then get in contact with you, and the interviews are just over Zoom. It's just a conversation with me. It's very informal and that sort of stuff. Now it's just going to be a conversation between me and you about your intent, what you would like to do long-term. And so that we can make sure we're on the same page. It's just as much, this application is just as much to make sure we're a good fit for you as you are for us, right? Like I do not want to waste anybody's time or make it more difficult for them to do other things. So it's, you know, it's not intended to be evaluative, as more informational.
Okay, and then the only other question I had was, will you be like accepting people as you get applications, or will it be like at the final date that you get them all in?
Good question. We are going to do a rolling admissions. So as soon as you're ready and you've done that, we will complete the process and schedule the interview, and I will get you your individual decision early on. And really, the decision is not about like, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, right? The way that we want it to work is that if this is something you really want to do and you're really passionate about it and you would be heartbroken if you didn't get accepted, then we're going to accept you, right? That's how it works. If this is something you really want to do, we're going to give you the opportunity, because we already know your academic ability by being at Augie. So we know you have what it takes academically, right? Now we just need to know, is this something you would like to do? And so the idea is that this process is just to make it a little bit of work to get accepted. So you know that you've invested a little bit already to be ready to complete it, right? So it's not just something that you just get accepted in automatically, just a little bit of work to explain why you want to do this. And then we will get you accepted and you will become part of the group, and we will start all the sorts of different things that get involved with that. You know, if I'm not your advisor already, I'll probably switch over to become your advisor for both undergraduate and graduate courses, all that sort of stuff. Which I can also do as well, you know, like before you get accepted or whatever, if you are interested in undergraduate, graduate advising stuff, I can help with that. Anything else?
How long is a letter of intent that you typically get?
About a page. And that has to do more with business practices for cover letters than anything else. But like, there isn't a right or wrong answer to that.
Okay.
More do with your writing style.
Mm-hmm. I'm good.
Yeah, I think all my questions are answered.
Perfect. Well, thanks for talking and all that sort of stuff. Oh, you got another one, Emma?
Question. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we let you, do we just like email you if we uploaded everything and everything done, or does
Yep, just let me know and I will get it submitted so we can bypass the other sorts of things, and I will get that going through. And again, this is not evaluative in nature. There is no cheating if you ask for my help with any of this process. You know, for some of you, I am your undergraduate advisor as well, and you would normally ask for my help with that. That is completely acceptable. If I'm not your advisor, that is completely acceptable as well. For me to help, it is not about judging any of this. So if you would like feedback on any of that sort of stuff, or you have any apprehensions with this, we want this to make it as easy as possible, while again, just having that little bit of work. So you have at least thought about why you want to do this.
I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. If you guys need anything, please let me know.
Thank you.